Hi there, welcome to Prime Sports with me, Razak Bow. Now, Ghana's Black Maidens enjoyed a flying start to the WAFU B Under-17 Girls Tournament following victory over Benin earlier today. Now, it was Christiana Ashiaku who scored a first-half hat-trick to ensure that Joe Nana Adakwa's team picked up a 4-1 win at the Ghana Men's Soccer Center of Excellence to go top of their group. The first game of the WAFU B tournament that is taking place in Accra. Well, let's bring you highlights of that game that the Black Queens saw to victory.
Christiana Ishaku is behind that one. 1-2, and there it goes. Second goal. Record one in, heads go up. Who is there? Latifa is racing to it, and that will be the first goal. Beautiful goal there. It's Priscilla Mensah. And in the cup. And she gets 2 of the 3 goals for the Black Maidens. She damaged Rukaya to Chaona beautifully. Down the flanks, they are racing. As across. That is the 4th. And the first hat-trick of the tournament has been recorded. It is Christiana Aishaku, and of course, Ghana have not been the best in defense in this game, but she balloons one in, heads go up. Aisha too was looking to get that on her hand, and they pull one back. They pull one back. Sloppy defending. Yanido.
That's how the game ended there. 4-1 in favor of the Black Maidens. That's Ghana's Under-17 girls team. Now, what's interesting about this game is that this is the team's first competitive action in 2 years following the ban for age cheating during the 2022 World Cup qualifiers, which also saw them fined some $100,000. The team, which is currently under the guidance of the head coach of APEM Dakwa, Joe Nana Adakwa, has undergone weeks of training to get them ready for this tournament as they look to return to the pinnacle of the girls' football. That's the Women's Under-17 World Cup. Now, Joy Sports' Lawrence Baidu has been following this team very closely and joins me in the studio to talk about this very, it's to some sense, it's good to, you can even describe it as a historic because after, suffering that ban 2 years ago, this is their first competitive game. Before we come to the game though, let's go back. 2 years ago, what happened to this team?
2 years ago, Ghana were playing Morocco in a World Cup qualifier. I think Ghana had won the first leg 2-0 in Accra Sports Stadium, and then they went to Morocco hoping to secure the final, hurdle and then advance to the World Cup. However, there were reports of age cheating. Ghana actually lost that game on penalties after the Moroccans also won by 2-0 in regular time, went to penalties and then lost out. So even though they missed out on penalties, should have missed out on the slots at the World Cup, the Moroccans still decided to file the protest against the Ghanaians. And some few players in that team, who took part in the first leg, were adjudged to be overage, and then it led to the 2-year ban. It meant that we didn't qualify for the next 2 editions we didn't play qualifiers for the next 2 editions of the World Cup, which was a bit worrying. So having to see this team grow from nothing to, this stage, it's too early to say they are hitting the right notes. But then I think their development is quite impressive. This particular team is one that had to, you had some players playing at the recently held African CAF Schools tournament. So it's impressive to see them come this far.
So, you're talking about 2 years that the team not been in action because they were suffering a ban from FIFA for the age, discrepancies there. And, of course, that ban meant that there's not going to be any competitive game. So, for 2 years, this team did not exist.
In fact, for 2 years, we didn't have a team.
We didn't have...
and we didn't have a coach.
Didn't exist.
We didn't have a coach.
We didn't have a coach.
Yeah. Until recently, I think somewhere midway through this year, where Jordan Adakwa was given a separate role. He serves as the assistant coach of the Black Princesses after their tournament in fact, he was named the head coach before they went to the tournament in Colombia. So once he was back, he had to put together a team, continue the screening process to get a team ready for this particular tournament. And as we know, this is the very first edition that we are playing the WAFU U17 under 17 girls tournament in, I mean, on the continent or in the western part of Africa.
Interesting, really interesting. You know, really interesting. Lawrence Bedu is with the George Sports Dex, and he follows the women's football very closely. Has been following the, Black Maidens very closely. 2 years they've been banned, and today they played their first competitive game against Benin, won 4-1. That was a very emphatic victory, 4-1. You mentioned that some of the players played in the,
African girls,
the girls' cup there. I mean, you are familiar with some of the players. How good is this team? I mean, what does the future lie for?
Heading into this very competition, one player I was looking out for was Ampem Dakwe's Latifa Abesik. I mean, she is one player who's been very impressive on the local scene, best onto the scene as a 13 or 14-year-old girl some years ago, and I mean, was playing very good football, had a chance to train with the national under-20 for a period back to under-17, and then I think she picked up an injury during the Women's Super Cup in Pram Pram earlier this year. I mean, that was somewhere around October. She's back into the team, back with Ampem Dakwa ladies, and was playing brightly until she got the call up to the Black Maidens. I mean, one player I didn't expect to see this coming is Christiana Ashaku. I mean, she's a good player when she played for Roots Sisters, a team in the Western region. I mean, she's good. You can see from the game today. I think one thing that worked for them today is the fact that they were explosive. They were going all out, knowing that they are 3 in a group, but then Burkina Faso decided to pull out at the very last minute. So it's just 2 teams. And the very moment you decide to pick up an emphatic win means you are finishing top of the group. So they had that mentality from the scratch. You could see from the way they scored the goals. From the very 5th minute, they grabbed the opening goals, scored in the 17th minute, scored in the 42nd minute and the 45th minute. So by the first half, the game was done, which was quite impressive from a side. I mean, if you know Jonah Adakwa, you know that he's one that manages a side that likes to score. I mean,
very offensive.
So they come at you at every little opportunity they get. And I wasn't surprised to see them score 4 goals in the first half.
I mean, let's talk about the team just one more time in terms of what lies ahead for the team. So after this tournament, well, what's next? Is there some qualifiers they have to play, because you understand that this team is looking to return to the World Cup in the near future?
I mean, earlier today we saw CAF go through processes for the next editions of the World Cup qualifiers for the next years ahead. So from this tournament, that will be the next target for the team. Unlike the male side where we have the U17 AFCON, U20 AFCON, they have to play the qualifiers for the World Cup straight away. So there's no AFCON. This actually serves as a preparatory ground for them to, I mean, play the next competitions in line for them. And I'm looking forward to what the future holds for them. Just to add to this tournament as well, just right after the Black Maidens played, we saw Nigeria also hammer Niger by 9-0. So if there's anything to watch, I mean, Nigeria are one of the good sides to watch in this.
It's a very strong statement to the Black Maidens that likely maybe Ghana versus Nigeria final, and it's going to be goals galore. But just before I let you go, though, with the exception of the Black Maidens, which other women's national team is in action? Maybe not now,
I mean,
but
at the moment, one we are looking forward to is the Black Queens.
Black Queens.
They have qualified for the WAFCON, which will be staged next year. It's the preparations for the tournament that has become a bit of a challenge, because they were supposed to play friendly games last month or early into this month, but against Tunisia and Senegal, those games didn't come on because the GFA and the Ministry of Youth and Sports said they were unable to raise $40,000 for this team to prepare for the tournament. So it's a bit of, I mean, a challenging moment for them. For the players in Israel, they had the opportunity to, you want to talk about the likes of Janet Ejiri, Doris Bedua and Sherifa. They had the opportunity to get minutes under their belts during the international break, because the Israeli Premier League decided to organize an all-star team that will face the Israeli women's national team. So it was about getting minutes in the tank for them, which was, I think, was good for them. For the others who are...
When is the tournament happening then?
I mean, the tournament is scheduled for June 2025. So we are hoping that, I mean, between now and then, they will have some games to test their minds, because You see Nora Hopto roaming all over the continent, all over Africa, all over the world, try to get the best players available for the national team. It won't work if they don't play games. So hopefully the GFA and then the Ministry of Youth are able to do something in time for them to get good
hopefully
preparations.
they're able to do that. Well, so next assignment for the women's national team is the women's Nations Cup tournament happening in June. The Black Queens have qualified for that tournament. This is the first time in what? They missed out in the last edition.
In Ghana here.
So yeah, I mean, Black Stars will not be at the AFCON next year, but the Black Queens will be there next year. So we'll be supporting them. Lawrence, thank you very much for coming through. But let's head to Kumasi Asante Kotoko now. And their head coach, Prosper Nata Ogum, has hailed the signing of striker Kwame Poku, describing him as having an eye for goal. Now, Kwame Poku, who signed a 2.5 years contract, sealed his transfer earlier this week following an announcement by the club on the social media. The move is the 25-year-old's second stint with Kotoko, having featured and netted 7 goals in the 2020-21 football season before moving to USM Alger midway through the season. Well, the head coach spoke on the sidelines of their training session ahead of the big game against Accra Hearts of Oak this weekend.
Striker, fine player. I like his level of professionalism. He's been talking to me about the way we train here, how happy he is about the way we train, like it's up to standard. And he's happy he's back to the club to also contribute his quota. We know he has the eye for goal, and that's the reason why we are bringing him on board to come and score. Either he's scoring or he's assisting other teammates to also score. So we only have to support him emotionally, we have to support him psychologically, let him believe that he's a good quality player. That is why we brought him on board. We need to give him all the necessary physical and psychosocial support that we need to give to him to be able to live up to expectations. So he's a good player, and as a coach, I'm happy that he's back to the club. Yeah, as you said, we need to confirm that. I'm not very sure about that. That is an administrative responsibility, so I think I have to be quiet on it. For us as coaches, we have prepared him, even if on Sunday or today even we are playing a match, and per the rules of the game, he can be registered and play. He will play.
Well, that's all we have for you on Prime Sports tonight. We'll be back tomorrow with a special preview to the super clash between Kumasi Asante Kotoko and Accra Hearts of Oak, 8:30 here on Joe News. Thank you for your company.